I went and bought a vacuum pump from Harbor Freight to pull vacuum on the air conditioning system, so now I'm ready to attack that. So first thing I'll look at is the Trinary switch. This is the Trinary switch. 4 wires on it, 2 blue, 2 black, and Vintage Air couldn't have made this any more confusing because here's the wiring diagram. You got a blue wire coming from the controller inside the passenger compartment that comes out and connects to a black and green wire that is on the Trinary switch. Now there's 2 of them. It doesn't matter which one apparently, because they would have had, if it made a difference, they would have had to make them 2 different colors. So it goes into the Trinary switch, and then another black and green wire comes to the pigtail on the compressor. That's a hot lead. It gets grounded through the connection to the engine and then through the chassis. But this wire coming out of the passenger compartment is blue. Then there are 2 blue wires on the Trinary switch. One goes to ground and the other one goes to the ground for the air conditioner relay. Now, grounds are normally black. So why they didn't make the 2 wires on here, the grounds, be black, and then make the blue wires service the Trinary switch from the signal wire from the passenger compartment and then to the compressor, and that's a black wire too. It's normally is a ground, but it is not in this case. So these could have been blue and everything would have matched, and blacks could have been the grounds, and it would have made it easier to understand, but it is what it is. So that's one confusing thing. Then the other thing is they give you this length of blue wire that has a round connector on one end and a spade connector female on the other. This is a round female connector. Now that round female connector would actually plug into the air conditioner compressor wire, because there's a lead on it and it has a male round connector. So it would plug into this, but then you're going to go from blue here on the signal end to black and green, I'm sorry, and black and green going out, and then you'll have a blue section going to another black section. Just kind of crazy. Not the way I would have color coded the wires. But one of the things I did do is I took the dryer back out, because I was trying to figure out where on this connector, on this dryer, you could put it on either side. The Trinary switch would go on either one of these hex nuts would come out, and then the lines in, which that one is labeled in and out, go to the rest of the system. So I was trying to decide whether it would be easier to put the Trinary switch onto the dryer and then try to connect the lines, or whether it'd be easier to connect the lines and then try to put the Trinary switch on. So in either case, I think I want to extend the wires from the Trinary switch so that once I put it on and screw it in, I can pull these out to a place where I can work on them easily, because trying to make connections underneath that hood and all that is, there's limited room to work, and just not feeling like that's the best way to go. So I'm going to think about this a little bit more and decide whether to put the Trinary switch on first or to put the dryer in first. Under the hood here we have two wires that need to be connected to the Trinary switch. The blue wire is the signal coming from the temperature controller inside the car. The orange wire is the fan relay trigger for when you turn. It's connected to the sniper unit, but when you turn the air conditioner on and this gets a signal to ground out, it will cause this fan that's already wired into the sniper to kick on. So what I was trying to do was, since this is a blue wire and I need to connect it to that Trinary switch, and an orange wire, I was trying to set those up so that when I put the Trinary switch down in here and run the wires out, I'll be connecting orange to orange and blue to blue. And I'm going to put two blacks for ground. Or actually, it's probably going to be black and white because that's what I have. So I started to do that, and already I screwed up, because if you look at the wiring diagram, one of the black and greens goes to the blue wire. So what I did is I solder connected the blue wire onto the end, hope you can tell that color, onto the end of one of the black and green wires. And then here's where I screwed up. I soldered the orange wire to the other black and green. However, that black and green needs to go to the compressor, not the trigger for the fan relay. One of the blues goes to the fan relay. So I'm going to have to cut this off and join it to one of the blue connectors here. I hope I keep this in the frame while I'm doing it. So I'm going to cut the orange wire off. Cut that off. Strip it. Got a bit of that solder connector stuck in there and screwing up my strippers. Let's take a little bit more off of that. Okay, I'm going to go get one of those solder connectors. Slip that over the wire, kind of twist these two together. Oops. Not having success with this. And now I'll go apply heat to that and melt the solder. Okay, now I have a blue wire that I turned into an orange lead that I'll connect to the orange lead from the sniper that triggers the fan relay. And I have a black and green wire that I've converted to a blue wire that I'll know gets connected to the blue wire that comes out of the controller in the passenger compartment. Now the other two, one blue wire becomes a ground, so I can just make a black wire there. I just figured out this blue wire with these two connectors on it is for. It came with the binary switch, which is what you use if you do not have electric fans. And you could connect this up to one end of these. The other one to a ground. And run this and plug it into the compressor. Why it's blue is beyond me. I have located some wires for my application. The one that's going to be a ground, which I think is this blue one. Yes, the blue one has to be a ground. I'm going to make that a black wire. And then the other one that comes off of the green and black that goes to the compressor, since it will have power in it, to power the compressor, I have a black and red wire. I'm going to use that and I'm going to extend those leads like this so that I can pull them up under the hood and work where I have room. Okay, I've got my Trinary switch with all the extension wires on it. Just double checking here. A black or black and green, mine are both black and green. I have one of them connected to a blue wire. That's a black and green connected to a blue, right there. That goes to the controls inside the passenger compartment. Then I have a blue that goes to the trigger for the fan relay. Well, that one, the blue, becomes orange because it is going to go to the orange wire that is the trigger for the fan relay on the sniper system. Then the other two are, there's a blue that goes to a ground, which I have my blue connected to a black wire, so I know that's the ground. And then I have the other blue, the other black and green has to connect to the compressor. And that's a black wire at the compressor and a black and green wire at the Trinary switch. So what I did is I made that black and green wire into a black and red wire, because that's what I had, that'll go under the hood and go to the compressor to kick in the compressor. So that can all be installed and just fed up under through the through a hole in the radiator support. So the next thing is to find my mineral oil so that I can disconnect. Make sure this is the right side. This side, because the input's here and the output's there. And I need this on this side of it. So I'll take that and bolt that and screw this trinary switch in its place. I'm gonna do that off camera and I'll just show you the finished result. So I'm gonna put a little bit of the mineral oil onto this O-ring so that it's lubricated as it goes on. And double checking to make sure I've loosened the correct one. I have. And the trinary switch just screws in there. They don't tell you how tight to tighten this, so I'm just going to put some pressure on it with a crescent wrench. Okay, I had to use a pair of channel locks on that because I don't have my big crescent wrench down here. And I've loosened these two so that they're finger tight, so that when I put them in I can connect the lines to it.